Alright, so how's it going, guys? Where do I begin? So this video I originally recorded, well, a while ago, before I even recorded the mountain ride videos. But I didn't like the way it was recorded, I didn't like the way it sounded, so I'm re-recording it now. Basically, this was supposed to be sort of like an intro video during my ride to work, which I'm doing now. I'm heading off to work, and it was basically just going to be a video explaining a little bit about myself and the bike, and what my plans are for the channel. So yeah, I guess I probably should have written some of this stuff down, but I won't make that. I made it. Wow, it's a windy day today. So basically, my plans for the channel are just to do motor vlogs and other videos of the such. I'm really into games, like PC games and stuff. So I think that'll be a separate part of my channel. So I'll have bike rides and things like that, and then I'll have gameplay videos and things like that. And I'll see as I go which videos sort of begin to increase in popularity over the other. So if the bike riding videos become more popular than the game videos, I'll probably steer the channel more towards that, and vice versa. So that's my plan for the channel, at least. And I'm hoping to put up at least one video a week, if I can. I mean, I should have the time for it. Just finding time to do editing is a bit of a pain. But yeah, that is my goal, one video per week. Now whether that will be one riding video a week or one game video a week, it all depends. But for the time being, it's just going to be one video. Might alternate the videos weekly, but yeah, if they're like a two-part video, it'll probably be like 2 videos a week. But again, we'll see what my how much time I'll have for all that. As you've probably seen on one of the first test videos on the channel, I originally had a white Ninja 300, and that thing was great. I love that little bike, but I don't want to try and afford to keep 2 bikes, so once I got my license, I traded up to this thing. I probably should have closed my visor. But I traded up to this thing, and yeah, I'm loving it. This is a 2016 Z1000 Kawasaki. Looked at it mid-December, picked it up early January. Yeah, I'm in love with this little thing. And by little, I mean this giant thing that weighs 220 kilos. It's a really nice bike. World's like tons more power than the 300, obviously, being what is it, 1047cc engine. It's pretty nice. It's got some really nice suspension to it. These big, like, separate function big piston forks on the front. I think they're by Showa. And it's got Takiko monoblock brakes, twin brakes on the front, which is amazing. It's an amazing upgrade compared to the 300. But yeah, it's in a way it's not much different to the 300. Everything feels much more stiff, much more rigid, much more stable. I guess maybe better quality is the term best suited for it. But in terms of seating position, it's basically identical to the 300. The rear sets are slightly higher up, but that's the only difference. Same forward lean angle and all that jazz, so there wasn't really much of an adjustment or much pain during the transition from the two bikes, between the two bikes, sorry. So yeah, I picked it up. There was a few other bikes I was looking at before this thing. This thing wasn't even on my list. You know, typically I was like, oh, sport bikes. So Daytona 675, 636, CB 1000 RR. And that is until I got my license and was able to go test ride them. And then I sort of realized the sort of corner of the market that sport bikes occupy. And for an everyday ride, for me personally at least, sport bike would not have been ideal. It's just the seating position is really awkward. Insurance was a lot. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, running costs in general would have been too much. So on top of that, of like getting sore after 40 minutes of riding, yeah, didn't really feel it, even though I love sport bikes. And eventually I plan to get one as a sort of weekend riding thing / track day bike. For the time being, Z1000, that's all I need. Loads of power, loads of torque. It's actually very good on fuel as well, from what I've seen actually. It has a 17-litre fuel tank in it, just like the 300s. It's basically identical in terms of fuel capacity. They're both 17 litres. But coming from the 300 to this thing, I've lost roughly about 100 kilometers per tank. So this thing I'm filling up at about 250 Ks. And this is after a long mountain ride. The 300 I was filling up at around 320, 330. What was that? It's like a R125, I think that was. And yeah, so 250 Ks out of a tank I'll get roughly. And when I fill up at 250, it's telling me I still have about 30 kilometers left in the tank. A couple of days ago, I filled up just before the mountain ride, and I was at 238 kilometers. And what was it? 14.2 liters went in. So, what else about this thing? Yeah, the power, that was the first thing that I had to really get used to. It's coming from the 300. What is it? What was that thing? It was a 30 kilowatt bike. With like 19 Newton meters of torque. Going from that to this thing, which is I believe 106 kilowatts and 118 Newton meters of torque. But that being said, it's actually very forgiving and very nice to drive, because it's got such a wide power curve to it. It doesn't like spool up like a sport bike will. Like, there is a point in its rev range where you can feel it'll start to pull harder, but it's very early on. It's around 5,500 RPM. Whereas most of the sport bikes I rode, like, you could pin it and it would be like really sluggish, and then you could feel it kind of like a turbo car. So I like that it's like responsive, and that I can be riding around town 60 kilometers an hour in top gear, and the thing just has no complaints whatsoever. It just handles it fine. This is the problem with coming down this way. See, I don't want to take the highway at this time, but this way, at this time of the afternoon, there's a lot of cars. And I'm not trying to be an elitist or anything, but a lot of people who drive in this area are bad. They're very bad. Like, doing several kilometers, several Ks an hour under the speed limit. Some as bad as up to 20 Ks less than the speed limit because they saw a cop car like 3 kilometers back. So yeah, it's just the kind of shit that we have to deal with. And it makes it really hard to filter as well, because everybody's kind of not the same distance from each other. Like, if we get stopped at a set of lights, people tend to like hug the line. So what else was I thinking? So yeah, back to the channel. Yeah, I'm not being very concise with this. I'm just sort of hopping back and forth as things pop into my head. See, editing takes a while, and that's just basic editing. So I think once I start doing some proper editing, it might take even a bit longer. So that's why I'm setting my video output to 1 video per week. And I plan to basically, with the gaming part of it, I'm not too sure what kind of videos I'll make. Not a big fan of playthroughs because they take up too much space and too much time and effort, and I find myself during playthroughs not really being a very good commentator. So I mostly want to do like Battlefield, some CS, some, I don't know, League of Legends, even though I haven't played that for so long. Yeah, just competitive games and things that I can just record a match or two here and there and just upload, just do quick edits and upload. And yeah, that's sort of my plan for the time being. So hopefully all of you will be a little patient with me. I'm learning as I go. I mean, it took me like 3 days to get like a decent, like to get the GoPro and microphone set up as good as I can at this stage. And when it comes to editing, like the first time I touched Sony Vegas was when I started editing the first Mount Nebo test ride. So like I said, I've been doing a lot of YouTube tutorials, you know, a lot of looking things up on how to do the most basic of things. So just, you know, bear with me on it.